Hi, my name's Kellie Nicholas, and I'm a CMS missionary, and I work with university students in Kobe, Japan. I've been here now in Japan since 2008 and working full time with KGK since 2012. My main job is working with uni students, meeting together with them, reading the Bible, equipping them, particularly to share the gospel with their friends on campus. I love meeting up with students. I love being alongside them as their eyes are open to what God is saying to them in His Word. I love being there in the good times and the hard times. And I guess that's been one of the hardest things in this time of COVID, that not actually being able to share so much of life with the students. One of the costs, I guess, of ministry, student ministry, especially as I get older, is students, as everybody knows, love to stay up late and do things at night. And so, especially when you have an hour to travel home on the train, that means lots of late nights. And I think sometimes, not always, but sometimes that takes its toll on me physically. But I wouldn't give it up for the world. So when I was in uni, I started helping out with the international student ministry at my university, at University of Canberra. I'd been an international student in Japan myself, and so I was able to understand what it was like. And I really enjoyed sharing the gospel in simple English with students from other countries. And as I headed towards graduation, I started thinking about how I might be able to do this more in the future. I was studying education and I loved teaching, and I just finished a major prac. But at the same time, I knew that being a good teacher meant having less time to talk to people about Jesus and to read the Bible with them. So I talked to a friend of mine who was doing MTS at the time and said, I'm kind of a bit thinking, not really thinking about MTS because, people like me don't do MTS. So my image of people in full-time ministry were people who enjoyed being up the front, who were, I guess, outgoing, just the people you see up the front of church and in different ministries. And I thought, well, I can't do that. But after talking to a few different people, I was encouraged to actually do MTS. And I went along to my first MTS conference and met other people. And through my 3 years of MTS, I worked on the campus at University of Canberra and also at Crossroads. And I tried lots of things that I wouldn't have tried otherwise. Some of them were really hard, but I learned a lot from them. One of the great things about doing MTS for me was that I discovered that I really love and am, I think, okay at doing one-to-one ministry, which was something that I hadn't done before. And so I used to fill my days with meeting up with our Bible study leaders uh, and and other girls on our committees and non-Christian students, and just doing lots of one-to-ones, which I found really encouraging. My job now, working with university students, is pretty much the same. So I meet up with small groups of students and one-to-one, have conversations with students on the train. And so I'm really thankful for the experience that I had doing MTS, because it actually prepared me well for those kind of ministries. I guess I want to encourage people to think, particularly people who might not fit the traditional mold of people in full-time ministry, whatever that is, um, to actually, if you are passionate about the gospel, you're passionate about telling people about Jesus, and you want to see the gospel go out, then I think God has a place for you to do that, and that might be some in another country. Um, Often, as a missionary, we have an image that missionaries have to be pioneers, or like they're planning churches and they're doing their own thing, which there are missionaries like that. But also, a lot of missionaries actually have to work under local leadership, which is a great thing, learning from local Japanese pastors and staff workers. And so, actually, a sense of being able to work under people, um, to be not always the number one in charge and making all the decisions, is actually a really uh, necessary attribute for missionaries in many locations and many jobs. I think if you're thinking about next steps of whether ministry, full-time ministry or part-time ministry might be for you, then I would definitely recommend doing an MTS apprenticeship. I learnt so many things about myself and about God and about how people work that I still draw on even now, many years later. And I'd really just like to encourage everyone to think about becoming a missionary. Talk to CMS, talk to me. I'm happy to talk to anybody who thinks that this might be something that they might be able to do.